Ugnay po ng sentenaryo ng Philippine cinema, meron po tayong makakapanayam na isang foreign producer. Mula po siya sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika. Makakapanayam natin all the way from the US. Let's welcome Scott Rosenfeld, a producer. Hello, good morning.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to the Philippines.
Thank you.
Is it your first time here?
No.
Okay.
I've been here many times.
All right, perfect. Okay, so you're a film producer. So can you share a bit about your experiences film producing in the US?
Sure. I started out doing independent film many years ago and moved into doing films like Teen Wolf and Mystic Pizza with Julia Roberts, and ultimately in the right around 1990 had the opportunity to produce the first Home Alone. And
Wow.
that really jump-started, well, didn't exactly kick-started my career into another level.
Okay.
And mostly I've been producing independent films, some studio films, a lot of my own things, and you know, a lot of work all over the world.
Okay. You mentioned about independent films, or how we call it here, it's indie films.
Yeah.
And it's quite a big hype right now here in the Philippines. So
Right.
what do you think are the important elements of independent films that should be followed by film producers?
Well, one of the most important things is that the stories have to travel.
Okay.
They have to travel outside of the country. They have to be universal themes. They could be Philippine stories, but they have to have universal themes.
Okay.
And ultimately, those are the kinds of films that work all over the world. And I like to do films that deal with interesting cultures, but also have a story like the movie Smoke Signals, which is about the Native American community in the United States. It deals with an area that people don't know that much about,
Yeah.
but it's also about a father and a son.
Okay.
And recently I did a movie called Critical Thinking, which is about a high school chess team in Miami, an inner city high school chess team, with John Leguizamo playing the coach and directing it. And, you know, they're kids who are Dominican and Cuban and, you know, brown-skinned kids that
Yeah.
most people in the States don't think about, who excelled and became national chess champions. So it's a cultural story. A lot of it was in Spanish, but it's also a story that everybody can relate to.
Okay.
And I think it's the same thing here. They have to be stories that people can relate to.
Yes. Scott, I mentioned a while ago that it's the centennial year of Philippine cinema, and it's
Right.
very timely that you're here to share your expertise. What are your plans? Do you have any workshops or activities to share?
Yes, besides producing a movie here and doing some other work here, I'm doing a series of producing and directing and writing workshops at TV5, and the first one is this weekend, Saturday, from 8 to 5, and it's about producing for a global market. I think it's really time for Philippine producers especially to kind of elevate their game to be able to develop product that works for the world market, not just for the Philippine market. And that involves all aspects of producing.
Right. From a foreigner's point of view, how do you think is the state of Philippine cinema right now?
Well, I think it's getting better, but I think, you know, there's a level of, you know, a certain kind of movie you see that's sort of a telenovela type story, and that's for a certain audience.
Yeah.
But I do see, and I talk to independent filmmakers all the time who are making more edgy, more interesting movies that won't necessarily play for that market, that are actually going to play better for an international market. So I think it's growing, and I think people are learning. But I think there has to be, you know, an elevation of screenplay style. There has to be a different way of producing, production management, all of those things which I teach, which has to do with how you manage and how you produce a movie for a higher production value,
Yeah.
for a bigger market.
Scott, how powerful is film? How can it compel people to change their lives or their mindsets?
I used to think it was, I'm not sure anymore, although now with Netflix and all those new streaming services, it's changing and it's sort of becoming powerful again because that's what people are watching.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure about how theatrical film is, because theatrical film worldwide has been overtaken by the Marvel universe, right? And that's not really good for most filmmakers, frankly. You know, most filmmakers don't do that. There's a handful of people who do that. And then there's everybody else. So, you know, ultimately, I think the streaming services, whether they're here or whether they're in the States or anywhere else, are probably good for that kind of thing.
All right. Scott, your workshop will be on which date?
Saturday,
On Saturday.
September 21st, 8 to 5 at TV5,
Okay.
Studio 4.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
Maboy,
you.
you're always welcome here in PTV4. Thank you. Once
My
again, we
pleasure.
have here in the studio Scott Rosenfeld, a foreign producer here in the Philippines. Thank you so much.